As many people will be travelling to various holiday destinations across the country to rest and enjoy the festive season with families and friends, government is urging all South Africans to celebrate responsibly and keep those less privileged in their thoughts this festive season. Authorities have expressed concern over alcohol consumption at this time of the year. They say that alcohol abuse is one of the major contributing factors to gender-based violence and road accident fatalities during this time. For a closer look at this issue, we're now joined by Dr Varoshini Nadesan. She's a senior lecturer at the Department of Social Work and Community Development at the University of Johannesburg, non-alcoholic board member and international representative of the Alcoholics Anonymous in South Africa. Thank you so much indeed for joining us. Good to talk to you again. It's been a while.
Yes, thank you so much. It's actually lovely to talk to you, Peter, and thank you for having us on this very important topic, particularly following through what the discussion just now you had with the Department of Transport on road fatalities may be linked to alcohol abuse.
All right, this time of the year, people do drink a little bit more because there are more parties and so on and so forth. What should we be careful of, though, as we see the consumption rising at this time?
Well, Peter, alcohol consumption is relatively high at this time of the year due to festivities where alcohol is purchased in large quantities for celebrations. And this time of the year is also associated with end of the work year, with parties, with proms and graduations, as well as people wanting to wind down. So many people opt for alcohol as a means to celebrate their successes. But research globally has revealed that alcohol is the most abused drug of choice. And similar research has revealed that South Africans are at the upper end of global consumption of alcohol, and particularly at this time of the year as well.
Do you know, one of the things I'm seeing a lot more of at the moment are these flavored drinks. And I wonder if that means we're seeing younger and younger people consuming a lot more alcohol.
Well, there's a significantly high number of young adolescents, particularly in the latency ages, under the age of 12, and even as young as 8, who have access to alcohol. They may see this as experimentation, which then develops into a habit. We recently had traumatic incidences of young adolescents who were reportedly injured or even lost their lives at taverns in the Eastern Cape and Gauteng. And our hearts go out to their families for losing such young children in these incidents. Now, adolescents are struggling to find their identity or their sense of belonging and independence. And you find that the older adolescent sees alcohol as a means of social interaction, of being cool, of having the attitude of why not. And it's also that time of the year that schools shut down and academic life year ends. And the opportunity to party, and for youngsters who naively choose alcohol and yes, these flavored drinks as well, as a means to escape the year and to celebrate, often modeling the behavior of significant others around them who use alcohol as a social status. Now, what we do know is that adolescents are more sensitive than adults to memory impairment resulting from alcohol abuse, because alcohol is an amnestic agent. It interferes with a young person's ability to form memories. It interferes with the drinker's ability to form memories. And it affects, you have these effects on the brain and brain functioning, on impaired balance, impaired motor coordination, and impaired decision making. So if we look at the reasons why adolescents in particular are actually struggling, we may attribute this to peer pressure, to environmental influences, to being unable to cope with an underlying problem, or maybe they want to appear older or more independent, or maybe they lack parental boundaries. But yes, there appears to be a high incidence of alcohol abuse, also amongst teenage girls. And we know that young adults who are now legally permitted to take alcohol are seen to openly use alcohol as a means of socialization and as competition to see who can take what kind of liquor.
So when does drinking a lot become abuse? Because sometimes you do have a few too many, and some people think that that's socially acceptable. It's a laugh here and there. But when does it cross that line and become abuse?
Yes, so we have many different types of drinking patterns, ranging from social drinking, and then drinking as a form of experimentation, or drinking as a means to conform to their social group. Or drinking to cope with challenges, where alcohol is used as a means to forget the hardships of life. Now, the usage of alcohol is often mistaken with abuse and misuse. Firstly, alcohol should never be taken with medication or any other substances, and that's an example of misuse. So many people use alcohol as a means of social entertainment and relaxation. And you also have people at social gatherings where they're generally capable of controlling or limiting their use. But for many social drinkers, alcohol is not a priority, and it doesn't disrupt their lives or their families. But on the other hand, we have abuse, which is often associated with binge drinking or consuming alcohol on a large basis or on a daily basis. Now, alcohol can be seen also in terms of misuse, where the person actually drinks continuously, drinks periodically, and an alcoholic is any person whose indulgence in alcohol, either continually or periodically, results in behavior that may disrupt normal relationships at work, with family, or with society as a whole. And these disruptions being of a nature so as maybe cause trouble. So in the broadest sense, we may say that an alcoholic is one who repeatedly drinks more than he or she intends or wants to, although knowing by past experience that he or she cannot control his or her drinking. And finally, they become aware of a pattern or a habit in their drinking, which they're powerless to change with any degree of certainty or permanency.
So how do we recognize when somebody's perhaps now starting to abuse alcohol, and how can we help them?
So alcohol may have a detrimental effect or create challenges for people's physical or mental health, or their well-being, or their economic well-being as well. So you have to be alert to the signs of whether you're an alcoholic when you actually or truthfully do not know when to say no, when you are unable to limit the amount of alcohol you use, when you want to cut down but you're unsuccessful in cutting down or stopping altogether. Now realize that the symptoms that you may have is when you spend a lot of time drinking and you need alcohol as a recovery from the previous night's binge drinking, or when you have that craving or urge to take the next alcoholic drink. Now, how do you determine whether you are an alcoholic? Now, as you are aware, I am a non-alcoholic member of Alcoholics Anonymous, but no member of Alcoholics Anonymous or anyone will attempt to tell you that you are or you're not an alcoholic. This you will decide for yourself. It's a very difficult decision to make, but probably the most important decision one ever makes. In terms of recovery, you may opt for quitting on your own. You may go to an inpatient or an outpatient treatment. But we have support groups of Alcoholics Anonymous, support group meetings. AA in South Africa has over 330 groups alone and is found worldwide. 76 years now that we are in South Africa, and they offer a structured 12-step program to the alcoholic. And the 12-step program facilitates acceptance, where there's realization that alcoholism is a chronic disease, that there's a lack of control, a realization that life has become unmanageable and abstinence is the only solution. But it's also been found that the behavior of one alcoholic affects at least 16 significant others, and therefore I urge family members to also seek help from Al-Anon family groups, which also offers the alcoholic's partner and their children a network of support and strength.
So I suppose this festive season, this is a time to think a little bit about your drinking, because I suppose this is where these things start and develop. during festive seasons like this, and drinking becomes almost celebrated.
Yes, you are right. Alcohol knows no determined boundaries, and yes, the age ranges are across the spectrum of a lifespan. During this festive season, we find that on a personal level, the alcoholic suffers, the family suffers to cope with the alcoholic's unmanageable behaviors. It may lead to domestic disputes, and subsequently we see a spike in domestic and intimate partner violence. Driving under the influence of alcohol may occur. This impairs one's mental and reactionary functions, thus leading to causes of driving under the influence accidents and related deaths where innocent lives are lost. The economy suffers as there's a frequent absenteeism from work, less income in the home, or a loss of income. And so this festive season, we find, or all festive seasons, more money is spent on purchasing alcohol. And then simultaneously, more money is spent on prevention and treatment programs to curb the use of alcohol. Government spends more and more taxpayers' money on treatment programs. The court roll has many alcohol-related cases and committal cases to attend to. And money is spent on justice enforcement to ensure public safety and to support prevention and treatment.
Dr. Nadesan, we're going to have to leave it there, but thank you very, very much indeed. Always gratefully appreciate your insights and your thoughts of this sensitive issue. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much, Peter. Good to see you again.
Thank you. Well, that's Dr. Varoshini Nadesan is a senior lecturer at the Department of Social Work and Community Development at the University of Johannesburg, and also a non-alcoholic board member and international representative of Alcoholics Anonymous in South Africa. So please enjoy yourselves, but do it with care and reasonably so that this doesn't become a problem. Don't abuse alcohol.